Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today. My name is Alec McCutcheon. I'm a director of Unicom. We're very pleased indeed to be hosting the webinar today. Our presenter is Darren Goldsby of ConnectSphere. Darren's going to be talking about digital transformation and the product lifecycle. And just to mention also very quickly that if you'd like to know more about this subject in general, Darren's going to be presenting at our conference in London on 19th of September, a theme of which ties in very nicely is digital transformation and change management. So without further ado, I will hand over to Darren.
Thank you, Alec. Thank you for coming along to the webinar, which is, as Alex says, around product lifecycle management. And it's the third in kind of a series of digital transformation webinars. Digital transformation refers to any changes associated with the application of digital technology in all aspects of human society. They enable new types of innovation and creativity in all domains, really, rather than just enhancing and supporting kind of traditional methods of delivering products. This webinar will focus on some best practices that enable that digital transformation. Best practices being an industry-accepted way of doing something that works in the most effective way. ConnectSphere specialises in the application of service management and digital delivery best practices, and in this webinar we will focus on key product lifecycle management disciplines. So I'm Darren Goldsby. I've been working in technology for a number of years, and in digital technology for longer than I care to remember. I've been working through practices like Agile, development operations, ITIL, and continuous integration for a number of organisations, and I'll try and talk you through what I've learned around product lifecycle management over the years that I've been working in this sphere, really. So the topics we'll cover today will a quick introduction to product lifecycle management and products, and digital products in particular. We'll go through product lifecycle management phases and the role of product lifecycle management in digital transformation. And we'll talk a little as well about how product lifecycle management works very closely with service lifecycle management to deliver an end-to-end product and service ongoing. Then we'll move on to why this is valuable for a service management organisation, and follow up with some questions and answers. So what is a digital product? I've put a few on the screen here because we all use many of these on a daily basis, and these digital products are really things that are changing our lives. Hotmail has been around for a long time and was real early forerunner in as-a-service operations, delivering email, which was usually through a thick client on your desktop, or even replacing traditional physical mail, and providing that over the internet in a purely digital fashion. Google Drive is a more recent digital product innovation, and in many companies is replacing the use of office suites and file stores. Dropbox is one that's a little difficult for some organisations to use, but many people are using this to share files. So it's really about digital products that are really transforming the way that we work and the way that we use our computers. So that's digital products. But what about product lifecycle management? What is it? What is it for? I found this phrase on the internet. Product lifecycle management is an all-encompassing approach for innovation, new product development and introduction, and product information management from ideation to end of life. But what does that mean? Well, if we're going to be delivering products in this digital sphere, we need to do it properly. We need to understand what we're delivering, what it's for, and how we're going to do it. And we need an approach that allows us to, in a standard fashion, think about our problems, think about what we want to deliver, work out how we're going to deliver those things, deliver them, and also support them on an ongoing basis. There's little point in coming up with an idea and delivering it if no one wants to use it, or if it doesn't fit in with the way your organisation works. So it's really important to have a good product management discipline. In this day and age where the consumerization of IT services is so often talked about, and is actually kind of right in the center of everything we do, the likes of Apple and Google and Microsoft being at the forefront of that, it's so important to deliver great digital products that really satisfy user needs and help to improve your business. If you don't, other people will. So when we talk about product management, there are various industry standards that work with product management, and in particular I thought this was a very interesting model to show what quality products mean. So a product quality model such as this doesn't just have to apply to a digital product, it applies to any software product or any computer system that includes software. And it talks about the kind of the key elements of a product that define or kind of measure or use to measure its success. This quality model looks at things like functional suitability. Does it do what it's been asked for? Performance efficiency. Is it really delivering the performance that's expected of the user? Go through a number of different types of measure of the success of a product, and we need to be considering all of these methods and all of these measures when we're considering what product we should be delivering to whom and how we define success really. This product quality model isn't defined for digital products, but it's a very, very useful model for all product life cycles. On this slide, I've tried to show a very simple product life cycle flow. And in the coming slides, we'll go through each of the phases in a bit more detail. Any new product starts with the conception of an idea, the issue, the problem, and in many organizations I've worked in, we talk about solving a problem rather than coming up with a product. We move cyclically then through designing this solution, delivering, creating the solution, operating and continually improving the solution, and reviewing, which is a kind of a regular occurrence with a potential view to retiring or improving or changing the system. And this product goes through this life cycle. Deployment occurs continually through deliver stage and into operate and improve, although obviously some organizations choose to deploy on a less regular basis and work through slightly different processes depending on their own ways of working. Key areas that digital product development have really improved are around the design and continual improvement of solutions, I believe. Agile delivery allows us to change small elements of our product, test them regularly and ensure that we're delivering against needs, and we'll talk about a little about that further on. Supporting this process, of course, is a sound business strategy and sets of key performance indicators for a business and for an IT organization which help us to absolutely measure success in terms that suit our business. So let's talk a little more about the conceive phase. In this stage, we're really getting to the root of what we're trying to achieve. We're asking ourselves, what is the problem that we're trying to solve, and what are we trying to achieve as a business? This stage is absolutely and intrinsically linked to the business strategy and also to the IT strategy. If we try to solve problems which go against the key factors of our business strategy, we can cause problems for our entire organization. For instance, we may have a strategy not to grow internationally, but a problem that we have that can be solved by creating an international solution wouldn't necessarily fit into the way we want to work as a business. Similarly, as an IT organization, we may wish to use third parties to provide infrastructure solutions, but a business problem requires us to think about creating in-house infrastructure solutions ourselves. So it's very important to consider all of the elements of our strategy when we're considering how we're going to solve a problem. At this stage, we're considering our critical success factors as well. What does good enough look like? What do we think as a business we need to deliver, and how are we going to measure that? How do we continue to measure success after we've initially delivered our product for our customers, for our internal business, and for our operations as a whole? We'll start to build simple product and service requirements which will be refined during the next stage. The problem we're solving isn't always a customer-focused one, and we need to think about whether the problem we're solving fixes a customer need, fixes a business need, or fixes a technology need. So let's move on to the design phase. Now we know our problem and we've thought about our business strategy and how this problem fits into it. It's time to get some perspective on our product and work out what we are and aren't going to deliver. At this point, we are seriously thinking about the ultimate consumer of our product. This shouldn't be a long phase, but it is our first chance to clearly define our target audience and test our ideas with them before we move into full iterative development. Firstly, it is good practice to build personas of your target audience. A good persona description isn't a list of tasks or a list of duties, it's a narrative. It describes the flow of someone's day, as well as their skills, their attitude, their environment, and their goals. So a persona will answer critical questions that a job description or a task list doesn't answer, such as what pieces of information are required at which point during the day, or do users focus on one thing at a time, carrying it through to completion, or are there a lot of interruptions in their workflow? Or even, why are they using this product in the first place? All of these answers help us to think about the qualitative aspects of the product we're delivering and make sure that we absolutely fit into a customer need. You should also be considering the creation of a test group. In this phase, you're going to be creating prototypes of various elements of your product, working or non-working prototypes. And then you're going to use these to define clearly your expected product. And you need to be checking these against people who are likely to use the product in the end, not just the members of the project team itself. As we said earlier, this isn't a particularly long phase, although if you do learn something that you weren't expecting and need to reconsider, you may consider reviewing and running through the same set of processes that you have done already. Any such review, however, needs to be in light of business and IT strategy and critical success factors. Don't change your product in order to revisit the needs of the customer if it doesn't then fit in with your IT and your business strategy. So you need to consider all of those parts when you're working through this. So you've tested and learned much about your consumers. You've thought about it from a user-centered perspective. What you then deliver is, in a sense, the core product backlog, and this will help you to deliver the product that you wish to deliver. And you'll be building test models which are reusable throughout the life cycle. Once you're clear on this, once you have your basic product backlog and you have your test models, and you understand what you're delivering, it's time to move into delivery. To us, delivery is the iterative delivery of software towards the goals and the critical success factors agreed earlier, bearing in mind the IT and the business strategy. What we're talking about here is Agile delivery. We should be running regular iterations. They may be fortnightly, monthly, or weekly, depending on the way that your business works. Often these iterations are defined by a release process or a release strategy in your business, but you should be delivering potentially shippable software at the end of each of these iterative deliveries. That's not to say that you will ship it, but it should be available to be shipped, and it should be built in such a manner that it could be shipped into live service at that point. We should have ended that design phase, as we mentioned, with a product backlog, which is a list of stories which relate to the functionality and the form that you will be delivering throughout the project. At the beginning of each iteration, you'll be deciding which of these stories are important and which you'll be delivering in full. And we'll go through that kind of process in the next slide. The number of iterations that are required to deliver this product will absolutely depend on the amount of stories which must be completed in order to deliver your minimum viable product. Or as I've said on the slide, your minimum viable awesome. This is the minimum product you can take to market which will satisfy your customers and your business. You should be thinking about which features are absolutely required and which could be held back in order to deliver on as early as possible to deliver audience and get more feedback from your customers. You can choose then to continue on to deliver some of these extra features or to wait, receive user feedback and assess success before you reprioritize your backlog. Either way, any extra features form the product backlog post-delivery, which is the backbone of product development. During this phase, you may well have delivered a beta version of your product or a stripped-down version available to all customers. In any case, you will have, as we mentioned earlier, a live working version of your product, which can be used by someone or a group of people to get feedback, understand bugs, understand issues, which can be fed back to the team on a continual basis for use in planning and retrospective sessions throughout the delivery phase. Remember, it's critical that your service management teams are embedded in this process, are defining their needs, involved in testing, and absolutely involved in the prioritization of features and bugs. Let's talk a little bit more detail about iterative delivery. What I put here is an example of the Scrum process. In this particular case, it's a 30-day process, but the amount of days can be changed. We We looked at the product, we talked about the product backlog, which is built out of the design phase, but also changed, updated, reprioritized throughout the delivery phase. And these are prioritized product features that are desirable. For each sprint, which may be, as I said earlier, 7, 14, in this case 30 days, you will work as a team to define which of these product backlog items you can deliver in full in the time period allocated with the number of resources that you have available. And the team commits to the delivery of this. This helps the team to feel absolutely involved in the decisions made to deliver and what we deliver, and really gets people feeling part of the product team. And I think it's a very valuable part of what we do. That sprint backlog is expanded by the team, more details added, detail around how long each thing will take to deliver, and ultimately we have our test plan that we've built in place to understand what success looks like. And in many cases we'll use test-driven methodologies which make sure that the stories are about test criteria. The answer to a story is a satisfactory test result. We go through that backlog, and on a daily basis a team will get together for 15 minutes to talk about what they've done since they last got together, what they're planning to do next, and any issues that they need to resolve. This ensures that we're continually on top of that backlog, understanding exactly what we can and can't deliver. Decisions can be made on a very quick basis around how we prioritize even that sprint backlog and what issues we need to cover. That sprint backlog may be features, it may be bugs we found in our last iteration, it may be new features that we hadn't expected at the start that have come about as a result of user feedback. But it's very important that we cycle through on a 24-hour basis to discuss exactly what each of the members is delivering, whether they're on target for the times that they believed, whether they've seen any issues, or whether anything has changed, which may change the way that we deliver. Then, at the end of our sprint process, of our 30 days in this case, we have our shippable product, which is a new piece of functionality or a new widget or anything that can be used in a semi-live environment. This will then be reviewed, and what we generally have is a session to review what we've delivered, so that people can give feedback or see what we've done, and then retrospective sessions to understand how that process worked and to improve the process as well as improve our delivery capability. We iterate through, as we said, a number of deliveries based on what we've decided our minimum viable product is, and at the end of the delivery phase we should have our minimum viable product. We then move into our operate and improve phase, and at this point we have a fully operational product and service being delivered. So it's absolutely vital that we are operating this service to the standards expected by our business, by our technology team, and more importantly, by our consumers. We look at operations in standard service management terms, monitoring and measuring performance against service level targets that have been agreed and against critical success factors of the product itself. So at this point we're monitoring and measuring the performance not only of the product, but the service that we provide as well. We also look at improvements. These improvements sit very closely with continual service improvement processes we see within ITIL. But basically, we look at the product backlog that we have, and we review and consider that to understand what we should be improving and what we should be changing. Consumers of digital services continue to get more used to good service, and they're more used to providing feedback when they don't get what they want. Just look at any app page on an app store. Look at the feedback that comes up when you look in the Apple App Store at an app, and you'll see that people are very vocal about what they believe is good and isn't good service. Expectations are getting ever higher. Gmail and Google Drive and Hotmail and Dropbox that we talked about earlier are potentially free products to consumers. They're not paying for them, although they are obviously giving away data and information in return for the products. But if they receive these products for free, there's an expectation that's growing and ever growing within the organizations that deliver digital products. So people are becoming more savvy and understanding what they want more. That level of feedback is actually vital for good product development. We know about fixing bugs. We've been doing that since we wrote the first line of code, frankly. What we can do now is see exactly how people are using our products and services. We've got digital analytics that we can plumb into digital products, which allow us to track users' behavior, when they use, how they use, and which elements of a product they use, what serves them well and what doesn't, what gets them coming back for more. But we also get more qualitative data around user feedback, review, be it through testing groups or be it through things like the App Store and mechanisms like Twitter and Facebook and email even. And we can review all of that data alongside the business strategy, alongside our critical success factors that have already been defined to allow us to create a backlog of improvements which are properly prioritized, which can be delivered in a continual fashion using our iterative development methods. Remember, when we delivered this, we were looking at a minimum viable product. Other features have formed the basis of this backlog, and they continue to be reviewed in this exact same way. New features being delivered regularly keeps the product front of mind. Recognizing user need gives you trusted users, so this is a really, really valuable part of the product development lifecycle. And it's totally aligned with, as I mentioned earlier, service management disciplines around continual service improvement. Finally, although it doesn't sit at the end of a life cycle, it's something that's reviewed constantly, we have an area called review and retire. And this is an area that can always be difficult to manage. We need to be considering our products at all times in line with our strategy. This is our business strategy. Does the product deliver the strategy that we want as a business? Are we still looking to use those customers? Are we still looking to be in that line of business? Does it fit with our IT strategy? Is any of the technology being used, end of life perhaps, or end of service? Have we changed the way that we deliver as an organization, and do we need to think about the IT strategy and whether it fits with this product? And also, we're looking at our product critical success factors themselves. Is the product delivering what we said it would? And is it managing the way that we should be managed? The things to consider here: how will your existing customers feel if you retire this service? What costs will you incur to stop delivering it? Do you have contracts in place with third parties, or do you have licensing issues in place that may cost you money in the long run? What income will be lost? It may be a relatively small amount, but it may be important to the business. What changes may need to happen internally if you cease to support the service? Would less staff be required? Would less technology be required? Will there be a need to change the way the organization is managed? And what regulatory or legal conditions may you need to fulfill, especially if you're looking at products across organizations and across international boundaries? So now I want to move on to explain the value in having embedded Agile and ITIL processes throughout your organization and how service lifecycle management fits intrinsically with product lifecycle management. This slide seeks to represent that in a way that's clear to all. What we know is that regardless of the quality of the product you create, people remember the service levels they receive when they got them. And this is often the difference between success and failure. Involvement of service management personnel and teams throughout the product lifecycle is therefore absolutely vital, and you can see within the slide how the product lifecycle and the ITIL service lifecycle fit together quite neatly. When you're conceiving products, you're looking at your service strategy, your IT strategy, your business strategy. When you're looking at designing products, you need to be thinking about the service design as well as the product design, and you need to be involving your operational and transition teams. When you're delivering iteratively, you need to be considering early life support, which is often managed by the project team, but delivered within the service team as well. And we need to be considering how service teams are involved in pilots and the operation of these beta or test groups. And when we're operating and improving our service, we obviously need to be thinking about service operation, but we need to be thinking about continual service improvement as well as product improvement. And that's how we link these two sets of life cycles together, frankly. It's very important when we think about the development of products, we think about the management of products at the same time. And this slide talks about the difference between application development and application management. In many cases, when products are delivered, we think purely about the utility, the functions that people are expecting within the product, the customer need from a functional perspective. What we need to be focusing on is both the functionality and the warranty, the quality of the service provided, the performance, and all of the elements that we discussed earlier that make product quality up. And this is essentially the difference between application development and application management. The nature of their activities differ in that application development is constructing and designing the solution and delivering the solution, and application management is considered and concerned more about the ongoing management of this application throughout the life cycle. Application development can be mainly in-house or in some cases can be third party, but the scope of application development in this respect is around the project and the product itself, whereas application management needs to consider the whole suite of applications that they're managing. And we may need to think, for instance, when we're delivering a product, how it may impact the delivery of other products. Service levels may change on core systems that are shared amongst various different products. As we said, the primary focus of the development team is around delivering the functionality that's required, whereas the management team are very much concerned about both the functionality and the service levels that are provided. And in this case, they need to be thinking about the warranty, and it's vital, therefore, that they're involved in the design and the development phases so that they can be a party to the conversations and to the decisions that are made. Application development teams are very much project-driven, and the product lifecycle thinks in project terms as well, whereas the application management team have a bigger picture view, and they need to perform their work as part of a kind of repeatable, ongoing process of management. And therefore, it's vital that these two teams are working together as part of these projects to understand what they're trying to achieve and to understand the life cycle from a complete basis. So why do we think that ITIL and Agile are important together? Well, an Agile project without those service management disciplines just doesn't support the capabilities required and the change that's required. We may not be taking into account the operations that are needed and the needs of the operational team. We may not be considering the increased workload. We may not be considering service level agreements that we've made with third parties that will affect the delivery of our product. And as we said earlier on, the service of a product is just as vital as the first delivery. Whereas with ITIL service management disciplines as well, what we have is an easier way for Agile projects to deliver into service. We've already got the processes in place for management of service. We understand what good looks like. We understand what we need to deliver in order to be able to manage a service going forward. It makes it very easy for an Agile project to deliver and for a product to be delivered properly into the service life cycle. However, we do need to deliver within the constraints and controls of the organization, which is why when we're defining the product in the first case, and when we're talking about the conception of a product, we're thinking about the IT strategy and therefore the service strategy as much as we're thinking about the business strategy. These quicker deliveries mean our products get out to market quicker and we can support and service them immediately without any handover periods that cause any concerns around service levels. And we can coordinate the projects with other service changes that are happening so that we don't end up with products being launched at the same time as major service changes, which will affect and impact on the service that we can provide. Ultimately, and this is absolutely vital, we improve the value of that product through both delivering functionality and utility and also delivering the warranty, delivering what the customer expects in terms of a service level. This is why we believe that these two areas sit together so clearly. So what are the takeaways here? Well, an established product management capability just simply means better delivery of products to customers. Ultimately, we have an established process to follow. We have a way of defining success. We have a way of delivering a product which suits an operational need. Business and IT strategy are absolutely vital to the success of any product, especially in the digital space. If we cannot service the product, if it causes problems with our strategy, if it means that our business and our IT organizations aren't modeled correctly, we're going to have problems with our customers and we're not going to deliver what we said we would deliver. User-centered delivery absolutely focused on customer and user needs. We're looking at the people who will be using and operating this product, and we're understanding what their needs are, and we're delivering to those needs and responding to those changing needs through an iterative improvement process. And we use the iterative process to respond to these events. Things change in the digital space constantly. Business strategies change, technology teams change, marketing plans change, new products hit the market very quickly. An iterative process, 2 weekly, monthly, allows us to respond to these events appropriately. Of course, we don't need to just respond for the sake of responding. We need to review our critical success factors, review our business strategy and our IT strategy to make sure that we do need to respond to events. Once we know that, we can reprioritize our backlog and we can deliver the right product for now. And if we link our product lifecycle processes to our ITIL service lifecycle processes, we know that we can deliver an end-to-end service. We can deliver the utility and the warranty that the customer expects. For this reason, it's absolutely vital to include service management teams throughout the process. This isn't a throw over the fence game. This is absolutely about product and service teams working together. And you need to continually monitor, measure, and improve, just like you would with any service management discipline. Your product disciplines are to continually monitor, measure, and improve your products. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please start to raise those now. I'd just like to remind you again about the Digital Transformation and Change Management Conference, which is coming up, where we'll be talking a little more, and there are further details on the website about this. And I thank you if you have any questions. Okay, I think I've got a question here. How many personas can a Scrum team manage within a typical iteration, and do they always include service management personas? It's interesting, actually. A lot of Scrum teams that I've worked with don't always include personas for the service management elements, and I think it's really important, actually. In reality, you can cope with as many personas as you need. However, whenever there are personas in place, we need to be thinking about how that allows us to focus. So what tends to happen is that there's a persona set for the entire product, and then we look at the product backlog in relation to those personas, and we prioritize based on the personas that, or the parts of those personas that are most valuable to the product. So in any iteration, you may be focusing perhaps on a particular persona and delivering certain products for that, or you may be focusing on something that goes across all of the personas that you have. Personas are very much a guide for what needs to be delivered, and a mechanism for reviewing what you're delivering and making sure it does satisfy that need. So I often see personas plastered up on the walls of project rooms, so that when we talk in a session or in a stand-up and we talk about the delivery of an item, we can review those personas. We can look and say, what would Brian, age 32, who's a marketeer, want from this, and does it actually satisfy his need? Very useful, mainly in the beginning of an iteration when you're looking at what in the backlog you're going to be delivering, and also when you're reviewing the delivery. Another question here. At the moment, we do not tie in our service delivery with our application delivery. What's the best way to begin developing this mentality in our department? This is absolutely a communications issue, but it's also at the heart of the IT strategy. So this has to happen both from the top down and from the bottom up. Most organizations, where they fail on this, don't absolutely define their strategy in terms of having service delivery involved in the delivery of their applications, and it needs to be championed by senior management. But also it's important that people who are involved in service management understand what projects are running and have a clear view of those projects so they can get actively involved. What Scrum allows us to do is build a team of people across disciplines who can talk to each other on a regular basis about what's going on. So go along to a stand-up, sit in on backlog prioritization, understand exactly what's being delivered, and embed yourself. The there's so much value in service delivery people being involved in a project. Their view on what good looks like and what success is, it's often so different from a developer view or a UX or a designer view. And so being an active part of the project, helping to prioritize what needs to be delivered, is really, really important. And there is no doubt that just getting in there and getting involved is valuable. However, it is, it's difficult because we all have a job to do. The organization needs to buy in to application management staff and application delivery staff getting involved with service delivery staff. I would definitely suggest trialing it on a project, getting involved in the daily stand-ups, in the reviews, and in the product backlog review prioritization sessions, understanding what's being delivered, asking the tough questions about how will this work from a warranty perspective as well as a functionality utility perspective, and then harass your leaders to make that an intrinsic part of project delivery, so that there is always a named service delivery member as a member of each of the projects. Okay, I don't think there are any more questions coming up. Just to reiterate, if you go to the Unicom site, you can see details of more webinars and conferences, including the upcoming conference. And if you go to www.connectsphere.com, you can see details of what we deliver in terms of training and consulting in ITIL service management. Also on email at inquiries@connectsphere.com, or to me personally, if you wish to discuss this more, Darren.Goldsby@connectsphere.com. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.